Awesome. Well, good morning, Staci. How are you today?
Good morning. I am doing so well this morning. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And you know what? I am so excited that we decided to start this series called Epiphanies from the Bedroom. So, this is where we are going to talk openly, candidly, honestly. This is our sacred space, right? This is where you come in and nothing is taboo. However, we do we keep it on this side of the good side. Do you know what I mean? Like we always frame everything in love and light, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's so hard, like even trying to just talk about that side of things, like the darker side of things. It's so easy to get wrapped up in explaining it, which then wraps you back in it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been thinking about that a
Oh,
lot.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just isn't that almost just a natural human nature thing? Like the more we turn it away, the more you look.
Well, and in our efforts to explain it to others, we're not understanding that we're perpetuating the power, right? So the perfect example, like I was thinking about this all day today. So I'm really glad that my morning went the way that it did. And welcome into everybody that's listening to our first episode. We will be doing this every Monday. So make sure you set your notifications, check our social medias. We'll list them at the bottom of the video on the YouTube channels and all that fun stuff. And please share them with your friends and family so that we can open up healthy discussion about world events and what's really going on, especially with the children, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I was thinking about it today, and you know how everybody gets wrapped up in the what's happening, like oh, all these people are being arrested and all these children are being rescued, and look, oh my goodness, it was the governor, oh my goodness, look at it was the chaplain, oh my goodness, look at it was the swimming coach, oh my goodness, look at it was the daycare lady, or the motel worker. And instead of us figuring out a way to band together to stop it, people are perpetuating the information without a solution. So when there's no solution, all you're doing is perpetuating evil, because it makes us feel horrible because there's no resolution. We can't help. We don't know what to do, right? So I know, Staci, that with Agape Rescues Children, that's your focus, is how do we get out there? How do we reach the ones that need help? And if you could just take a couple minutes here to explain what you do over at Agape and Amelia Wright, I know that our listeners would be very happy to go and support you over on your website.
So thank you, Syrena. Yeah, it's so true. It's because we are here really to help the kids, and because child trafficking is we're finding out is the biggest, runs this country, runs this world, and it's such a deep, dirty secret. But these kids need aftercare and they need places to go. Some of these kids get sold into trafficking, or get sold by their families, or they're born into trafficking, or whatever the case may be. And we got to be there to create aftercare for them and places for them to live and heal. And I think the word heal is huge, because that's where ameliorate comes in with our holistic healing practices. So the second we rescue these children, we start breathing with them, we start playing the right music, the frequencies, and just start the healing process in such subtle ways with music or sound or something like that. And so basically at Agape right now, what we're doing with Agape is really, we are bringing awareness to child trafficking, and we're just waking people's eyes up to it, and that it happens, and it's happening in our country, and happens underneath your nose, and here's what to look for, and to save a child's life. And so right now we're focused on education, and while we're getting the funding to start our centers and our homes, and really kind of working with CPS, we kind of want to break the CPS, how do we say that? The CPS bond,
Right.
because we got to get in there, because CPS traffics them just as what. So they get rescued, they get put into CPS, right back into trafficking.
Well, exactly,
so
and that's part of the problem, right?
Break that cycle.
Yeah.
We just have to break the cycle.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Staci. So, because I know a lot of people will be interested to know how you know about, because you're American and I'm Canadian, right? So Staci's based out of
Yep.
Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm based out of Kitimat, British Columbia in Canada. And we all have trafficking issues. I just spent the last 4 years in Mexico, massive trafficking problem down there as well. And I kind of wonder, with Mexico right now, they are trying to make their own Panama Canal. And I'm really concerned about that because
Mhm.
it is a haven for, if you want to disappear, Mexico's the place to do it. You can buy anything down there, anything, everything goes.
Yeah.
It is, and
Yeah.
it's not about corruption. It's about the fact that so many of these countries come from a place where they are very poor and they had to survive. There's never really been a middle class. Like you're either okay or you're not,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
and I worry that Mexico, because Donald Trump is now focusing on the Panama Canal and changing the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, I'm really concerned that Mexico is now going to use the power that it does have to bypass all of that and say, you know what, now let's talk about who has total control here. Because once that opens up, I'm even seeing cartel activity up here in northern British Columbia. They're taking over the First Nations communities up here. So that's also going to involve more trafficking. And I live right off the Highway of Tears. Like that's a real thing. For people that don't think that
Yeah.
that's real, it's a real thing. So it is a very big problem. Now, before I get too off the side there, so Staci, can you please tell us, how are you aware of the CPS problem, and how do we fix it? How do we fix it from inside without tearing the system completely apart? Because a big problem is a lot of us wonder, well, how come the employees aren't blowing the whistle? How come they're not, like how come they're allowing all this to happen when they know that it's happening?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know if everybody. Do you think everybody in there knows that this is happening? I don't. I just don't know.
You know what?
But I mean, as we talk about it and as we open people's eyes to it, they better realize that it's happening.
Yeah, well, and I just thought of something. You remember back in the days with the insane asylums, which you guys, all people listening, was not that long ago, folks. Like Geraldo Rivera was the last one that busted that wide open, and that was not very long ago, everybody. So, I was reminded of people that worked in the asylums for the unwell. Okay, and those people saw the abuse and the neglect every single day. And the thing is that they felt obligated to those that could not help themselves, so they kept going to work because they knew how vulnerable the people were, and they needed them, right? Somebody had to speak up for them, somebody had to be there for them. So they tortured and suffered themselves, watching and trying to just put a band-aid on a nuclear bomb, right? And so that, I think that's what happens, is that we get overwhelmed by how big it is, how overpowering the system itself is. So then we become minimalized and we just try to do what we can, which really is just doing a bunch of little tiny dent repairs and handing out a band-aid or a cookie, when what we need is massive medical response and a buffet.
Right.
So I think that's what happens, and the system is set up that way to keep us focused on the drama instead of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
So are you able to tell people what Agape was set up for, and why you started this incredible adventure a few years ago?
Well, Agape. All right, just for this is the very beginning of it. The agape means love, unconditional love. It's like a God word, right?
Yeah.
So I just believe that love truly takes care of children and will, really heals children. All they need is a little love. So I called it Agape. Agape rescues children. And then I like the acronym, the ARC. And now I say we're all building arcs for children.
Mm-hmm.
We're modern day Noahs, is what I say.
I love it.
And right. And so that's where the word came from. When I jumped on the Trump train back in 2016, I really learned the reason why he was building the wall. And I learned it was human trafficking. Mm-hmm. And I really stood behind that. And then I did more research and dug a little deeper and knew about the children and found out about all the kids at the border, and they have no place to go. So I thought, hey, these kids need something, so let's create aftercare, a healing, holistic aftercare for them. And so that's kind of just where the whole idea flourished. I kind of married my business, Ameliorate, with these aftercare centers that we want to create for children. And then, I came out with this huge, big, grand vision of creating these aftercare centers. And I was sitting there watching Donald Trump on TV when he was doing his COVID reports. And he said, you need to start at grassroots levels. And I was like, that's right. I need to start this project at grassroots levels.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I learned, like, each country, each county that has CPS, there's corruption everywhere. I mean, with the CPS, I was like, the CPS has got to change.
Oh, absolutely.
So
and I mean, and once people understand the levels of corruption and how far they will go to keep their secrets and keep their flow of trafficking, the world, I like, do you think, I think that we are not being given enough credit as human beings. I think that we need all of the information, like give us a big dump of information, let us deal with it, and let the chips fall where they may. Because as we get little snippets of information, it keeps us in that constant thing of being angry and upset and worried and fearful, right? So that's how they keep us unorganized. And I love what you said about that policy of Trump's, that it's about saving the children. And I do not want to turn this into a political channel, anybody that's listening right now. This is not about your political views. This is all about saving the children for future generations. And political has nothing to do with that. Religion has nothing to do with that.
Correct.
Right?
100%. 100%.
And race has nothing to do with that.
He's the one that brought it to my attention. He's the one that brought it to my attention.
Yeah.
And then I noticed his administration and what they wanted to do for the children, and how human trafficking and child trafficking was one of the top things his administration is going to take care of.
Yes.
So
can you tell?
We don't want it to be political, because kids don't care if you're Democrat or Republican.
That's right.
They don't care if you have purple hair or blonde hair, So.
Well, and that's the problem with the whole concept of the New World Order and the one world government, is because a lot of people would think, well, that sounds like a good idea, right? Like, we remove all of the rules, we get back to what works for everybody. But unfortunately, those that want that system, the rules only work for them. We end up, it sounds really good. Oh yeah, have these 15-minute cities where you don't have to do anything and go anywhere, and have everything really convenient because we're not lazy enough and we're not unhealthy enough, right? That we need to have closer access to our junk food and our addictions like alcohol and whatever, right? So when people think of it, oh, it sounds wonderful. We're going to have, like, we'll remove all of the barriers. But the thing is that then we become, if we do it under their rule, we become cattle. We actually get to step into the role of the cattle, or the sheep, as it were. If we deny that system and say, no, how about we go back to community-based care? Everybody looks after their own little community. We don't even talk about neighborhoods anymore. We always talk in very big general terms these days. You never hear Brooklyn or the New Jersey, like, well, you do, because New Jersey's full of aliens right now. But I'm trying to make an example where we just hear about New York. We don't hear about the little suburbs anymore. I just hear about places in Canada. We just call it Toronto. We don't talk about Sudbury or, Thunder Bay or all these other places, right? So we are being programmed to think, we're being desensitized, number one, on all levels, even weather-wise, you guys. We are being desensitized to how urgent shit can get when a weather event happens. And that scares me, because if we are at a precipice right now where, if we don't snap out of this and stop blindly following what seems like a good idea without thinking it through 10, 15, 20 years down the road, we're all going to end up running off the cliff, just like the buffalo used to do. When one of them got going, they all got going, right?
Yep.
And they just ran off the cliff. Well, we don't want to do that. So Staci, I believe that you and our energy works so well together, because you, as the physical healing centers that are bringing in the children, and your team with Ameliorate, myself with my team of quantum energy healers, we know we can attack this on so many levels, that it is truly about healing the person to be able to come out of what they've experienced and have a sense of peace, dignity, and love for themselves, Never mind forgiveness and all of that. We get them back to a place of love for themselves and worthiness, and saying, hey, what happened to you was horrible. We get that, but it was not your fault. And now come and be where you can feel so much love that we will blind the darkness. We will. We just need more love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hear you.
And didn't you meet with some pretty important people over the weekend? Are you able to tell people about that meeting and what you discovered?
I did. I have a couple more meetings coming up, and hopefully things will pan out with them. I'll absolutely let you know, like ASAP.
Okay.
When I hear further about that. But yeah, we have exciting things going on, you know.
Well, and I guess that's the really big question that you and I talked about for today. And you and I have been asking this question of each other for months now. Where are the children? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
Well, some of them that have been rescued are going to military bases. I know that. And have gone with good families.
Oh, good.
So.
And are they using, do you know if they're using the medbed technology? Because I have a feeling a lot of people will be asking about that.
We need to look on that.
Okay.
We need to check on that because, yeah, I'm not really sure. I'd like to know that too.
Yeah. I would too. Okay, so sorry, please continue. I interrupted just because you made me think of med beds there, because I was like, oh, I know that there's going to be physical healing as well as the emotional, mental, and spiritual healing that needs to happen as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that technology would be really helpful in a situation like this.
Yeah, I know. And I would love to hear some more about that. Actually, somebody was just asking me the other day. They just said, keep on hearing about med beds. What's going on with the med? Are they even real? And I was like, oh, I think so, but I guess we've never seen one. I mean, yes, I know people that have traveled to go to a med bed, but
Yep.
So we'll see. I don't know about that either.
Well, and in the meantime, you have my team of quantum healers over here that over on my Patreon at the Happy Healer, that we can teach people how to be their own med bed in the meantime while we're waiting for that. That technology has been talked about for quite some time now. So I worry that even that part of the technology part of it is its own little, I don't know. That's a story. We'll talk about that when you find out if med beds are being used with the survivors. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you know what, Staci? I think that this has been a really good introduction to Agape Rescues Children, to Amelia Wright, and to the Happy Healer group over at the patreon.com. And I just want everybody to know, for Staci's group, for Agape Rescues Children, please support her efforts at agaperescueschildren.org. And the biggest way that you can do that is to go to her website, print and share the prevention and education manual. Give it to everybody that you know, anybody that you know that has a kid or knows a kid, which is all of us. Please drop it in your doctor's offices, your dentist offices, at the gym, at the swimming pool, at the grocery store. Get it out there, because how we save the children is prevention and education. Then we band together with a solution-based healing system that actually makes a difference for generations going forward.
Yeah. And that's my next step. Hopefully it's March, April, and I'll be able to talk more about that. But, we've done so much education and talking and waking people up to this.
Yeah.
Now it's time to get busy, because the kids are being rescued and they do need places to go.
Yes.
And thanks to the Trump administration, these kids on day one, hour one, Tom Homan had that border closed in Arizona. And thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you, President Trump, for bringing an end to child trafficking, because that's main on their administration. And I'm super excited about it.
Yes, and those of us that have been following this, sorry about the noise in the background, everybody. I have a roommate that does nails, and a client just came, and we have 3 chihuahuas, a shih tzu, and 2 cats, so it gets a little noisy when people come to the door. What was I going to say about that? It's really important too. What was What did you just say? What was the last thing you just said?
Just about how Donald Trump's administration and how they closed that border like ASCP, and stopping this child trafficking is one of their top 5 administration deals.
Well, yep.
Thanks to him and Tom Homan, they're going to do it.
Absolutely. Well, and you know what? Those of us that have been following this the whole time, and it's not about conspiracy theories and the Q movement and anon, and it's not about that. It's always been about the children and the trafficking. So that's another reason that I think Mexico now has, like, what do you think about this business of the cartels opening fire at the border? Are you there? Hello? Well, interesting, everybody. As soon as I said that, I lost Staci. Let me see if I can get her back.
Whoops.
That was weird. Did you hang up on yourself, or did we get shut down as soon as I mentioned the cartels and the border?
I mean, I think it just got shut down or something. I mean, like, what?
That doesn't surprise me. We've been having some really weird stuff happen this morning ever since the intention went out that you and I were going to have this conversation today. So, just for folks, the question that I asked was, those of us that are in the know and have been following this from day one and are very focused on saving future generations by starting now to save the children. What do you think about what you just said? How Trump shut down the border, and then the cartels said go ahead and open fire. What do you think about that?
Oh, I don't know anything about that, actually.
Yeah, that happened. So that is something else that we're gonna, and I'm gonna keep my thumb on the pulse on that one from my Mexico contact side, you guys, because we all know that the media is not exactly transparent or 100% transparent. Let's just put it that way. You have to take it with a grain of salt and check multiple sources before you have an opinion. So I am going to do some digging today and find out from my Mexican folks if they could check their local news and see what's going on with that, because that is a big deal. That is a really big deal. And again, that is another reason why in this moment I'm grateful to have been returned from Canada and brought out of Mexico right before all of this happened. So anybody that thinks that things don't happen for a reason, I'm sure Staci and I both can tell you they absolutely do. They absolutely do. So, but we'll stay on top of this Mexico border situation. And for folks that are listening, please follow along. Enjoy Epiphanies from the Bedroom, where we will talk about all of the things that we need in order to live our best lives, disconnect from the matrix system, and really truly see a shift in humanity. Call it ascension, call it whatever you want. All we know is we need more love and less suffering.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the words of Kathy O'Brien, go be the love you wish to see in the world.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Absolutely.
All right.
I think this was a perfect podcast and a great introduction as to what we're doing and our mission. And I hope it gets clearer as the administration works forward, and I know it is, and it's all we can do.
Well, absolutely. And the thing is to keep focused forward. We keep focused on the positive things that we can do, the solution-based things. And if anybody out there is listening and you want to get involved, you want to do something, please contact us through the website at agaperescueschildren.org. We have set up a toll-free number. I keep getting shut down on social media because of the things that I know and share. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to put the phone number out there. Staci, is the number currently up and running still, or was there any glitch there?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm trying to remember if I remember what it was, because I used to repeat it all the time. So 1-833-587-8576. No. 8.
Yes.
You do it.
I can't right now.
Isn't that sad? And we're like, that's okay, guys. We're going to put it in the description below. We're both having a brain fart, but it's that kind of a Monday. So thank you, everybody, for listening in. Staci, thanks for taking time with me today. And I do have the phone number, you guys. I'm not going to stop what we're doing right now just to look that up, but we will put it in the description. Please comment below. And if you want to get involved, visit agaperescueschildren.org. Your first big step is to print and share the Prevention and Education Manual and reach out, get people involved. We can talk about this without it having to be traumatic. And we can also talk about it with a solution-driven agenda and not just spreading rumors and spreading more fear. Because at Agape Rescues Children, at Epiphanies from the Bedroom, and at The Happy Healer over on Patreon, we are all about love and healing and living your best life, right?
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yep, you got it, baby.
Okay, everybody go have a super fantastic day. And remember, you are a quantum machine. Start acting appropriately. And I love you all. Thank you, Staci, so much. I love you right back. And I'm just going to stop the recording, but you and I are going to continue our conversation. So everybody, we'll see you next Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you for joining in. And we are out.
All right.